Elara was not like the other children of Whisperwind Glade. While they dreamt of skipping stones across the Moonpetal River or climbing the ancient whispering willows, Elara dreamt of the night itself. Not the darkness, but the shimmering, breathing tapestry that unfurled above their village once the twin suns, Solora and Lunara, dipped below the horizon. She saw colors others only imagined, heard melodies others only felt, within the vast expanse of what her grandmother called the Great Dream. Whisperwind Glade was a place woven from moonbeams and starlight, a cluster of homes carved into the base of the colossal elderwood trees, whose branches stretched so high they seemed to cradle the sky. Lumin moss grew in soft, glowing patches along paths and inside homes, casting a gentle, emerald light. The air always smelled faintly of moonpetal blossoms, which unfurled their luminous petals only after dusk, collecting the precious dream dew that the villagers harvested for their potions, and the delicate, shimmering threads they spun into star silk. Everyone in Whisperwind Glade lived by the rhythms of the night, and everyone knew the importance of the Great Dream, for it was the source of their magic, their stories, and their very existence. But Elara saw it differently. To others, the Great Dream was a wondrous, ever-shifting aurora of color, a magnificent, silent ballet of light. To Elara, it was a living entity, a vast, humming consciousness. She could feel the individual dreams swirling within its currents, a child's dream of flying on the back of a cloud whale, an elder's memory of a long-lost love, a deer's instinctual dream of finding the sweetest patch of clover. Sometimes, if she concentrated hard enough, she could even pluck a thread of a dream, feeling its emotion, its story, before letting it drift back into the cosmic currents. This wasn't something she spoke of often, for fear of being deemed too strange, even for Whisperwind Glade. One night, as the twin moons, Lumina and Penumbra, cast their silver and shadow over the glade, Elara noticed a subtle shift. The vibrant, pulsating heart of the Great Dream, usually a riot of sapphire, amethyst, and emerald, seemed muted. A corner of its vast expanse, near where the constellation of the sleeping fox usually curled, had a dull, grayish tint. It was like a single thread had snapped in a magnificent tapestry, barely noticeable to most, but glaringly obvious to Elara. She felt a shiver, not of cold, but of something akin to a silent alarm bell ringing deep within her. She watched it for 3 nights. Each night the gray patch seemed to expand, ever so slightly, like a bruise spreading across the skin of the sky. The usual joyful hum of the collective dreams felt fainter, tinged with a faint, unsettling static. The moon petals in her window box, usually eager to unfurl, seemed hesitant, their glow less robust. Even her own dreams felt restless, fragmented, like pages torn from a book. She dreamt of empty spaces and echoes, of colors fading into monochrome. Finally, unable to bear the growing unease, Elara decided to speak to the one person who might understand, Grandmother Lyra Taw. Lyra was the oldest and wisest of the dreamseers, her eyes like polished amber, holding centuries of starlight and moon lore. Her small cozy dwelling was nestled deep within the roots of the elderwood, its entrance shrouded by cascading lumin moss, making it feel like stepping into a living, breathing dream. Elara pushed aside the moss curtain, the soft light illuminating intricate carvings of sleeping creatures and constellations on the wooden walls. The air inside was warm, smelling of dried herbs and ancient parchment. Grandmother Lyra sat by a hearth where dream coals, made from compressed starlight, glowed with a gentle, pulsing rhythm. She was weaving, her gnarled fingers deftly guiding threads of star silk through a loom, creating a shimmering shawl that seemed to hold fragments of captured moonlight. A tiny, iridescent moth named Lumina fluttered around her head, leaving trails of faint stardust. "Grandmother," Elara began, her voice barely a whisper, "the Great Dream, it feels different." Lyra's hands paused, her gaze, though ancient, was sharp and knowing. She didn't look up immediately, but continued to trace a pattern on the shawl. "Different? Little star seer, how so?" "It's fading," Elara said, the words tumbling out in a rush. "There's a gray patch growing near the sleeping fox. And the hum, it's not the same, it's quieter, and my own dreams are troubled." Grandmother Lyra finally looked up, her amber eyes meeting Elara's. A flicker of concern, subtle but undeniable, crossed her face. "Ah, Elara, I had hoped it was merely the restlessness of a growing mind. But I felt it too. The stillness. The stillness, Elara repeated, a chill creeping into her heart. Yes, Lyra sighed, her voice a soft rasp, a turn from the ancient lore. It is what happens when the threads of the great dream begin to unravel, when the flow of magic and inspiration slows. You, child, with your unique sight, would be among the first to truly perceive it. Lyra gestured for Elara to sit beside her. Know this, Elara. The great dream is not merely a pretty light in the sky. It is the very heart of our world, the wellspring from which all true magic flows. Every thought, every hope, every story whispered in sleep, every spark of creativity in the waking world, feeds into it and draws from it. It is the collective consciousness, the shared imagination, the very breath of existence for our realm. And you, little out. But what does the stillness mean? Elara asked, her eyes wide with apprehension. It means, Lyra said, her voice grave, that the world begins to lose its color. The moon petals struggle to bloom. The lumen moss dims. Our star silk becomes brittle. Dreams themselves become shallow, empty, and slowly, imperceptibly at first, the joy, the wonder, the very magic of our lives will fade. Eventually, if left unchecked. But why is it happening? Lyra paused, her gaze distant, as if searching through the archives of her own memory. The lore speaks of times when the balance shifts, when the waking world forgets the importance of dreaming, when hearts grow cold and minds close to wonder. Or when something seeks to deliberately sever the connection, to drain the great dream for its own purposes. Her voice dropped to a near whisper. The old tales speak of the shadow blight, a darkness that feeds on slumber and light, but that is a story for another time. But what can we do? Elara felt a surge of determination. She couldn't just watch her world fade. Lyra placed a hand on Elara's shoulder, her touch surprisingly firm. You, Elara, are uniquely positioned. Your sight, your sensitivity to the great dream, is a beacon. The stillness affects us all, but it calls to you especially, for you are part of its tapestry in a way few others are. I feel it, Elara admitted. A pull, deep inside, like a silent cry. It is the great dream calling to you, Lyra confirmed. It needs mending. It needs someone to find the source of this stillness, to reawaken the fading threads, to rekindle its light. But how? Where do I even begin? Lyra smiled, a faint wise smile that crinkled the corners of her eyes. The great dream is vast, but its troubles often manifest in specific places, echoing its deepest currents. The gray patch you saw, near the Sleeping Fox constellation, that is a key. The Sleeping Fox guards the entrance to the Whispering Labyrinth, a place of ancient dreams and forgotten paths, deep within the Elderwood. It is there, the lore says, that the threads of the great dream are most intricately woven into the waking world. Lyra reached into a small, intricately carved wooden box beside her. From it, she produced a single, perfectly spherical orb, no bigger than Elara's thumb. It seemed to shimmer with an inner light, like a captured fragment of a distant nebula, swirling with soft blues and purples. This is a dreamstone. It was my grandmother's, and her grandmother's before her. It holds the essence of 1,000 peaceful dreams, a protective light against stray nightmares, and a compass for those who seek the heart of the great dream. She pressed it into Elara's palm. It felt warm, smooth, and pulsed with a gentle rhythm against her skin. The Whispering Labyrinth is not a place for the faint of heart, Elara, Lyra continued, her voice serious. It shifts and changes, guided by the dreams of those who enter. You must be brave, true of heart, and always listen to the whispers of the great dream. The Dreamstone will show you the way, guiding you through its twisting paths, but you must learn to trust your own inner light, your own unique connection. How will I know what to do when I get there? Elara asked, clutching the Dreamstone. A mixture of fear and thrilling excitement coursed through her. You will know, Lyra said simply. The great dream will guide you, but first you must find the entrance. It is hidden, revealed only to those who truly seek it, by the light of the twin moons, when the Sleeping Fox is at its zenith. Elara spent the rest of the night preparing. She packed a small satchel with dried moon petals for sustenance, a canteen of dew from the elderwood leaves, and a small, soft blanket woven from her mother's starsilk. She told her parents she was going on a day-long foraging trip into the familiar parts of the Elderwood, something she often did. They, like most, didn't perceive the true depth of her connection to the night sky, and while they worried, they trusted her independence. As dawn approached, painting the sky with the soft hues of Solara, Elara felt a mix of nerves and profound purpose. She clutched the dreamstone, its gentle pulse a comforting presence. She knew this was no ordinary foraging trip. This was a journey into the very heart of magic, to confront a creeping stillness, and to try and save the great dream itself. She slipped out of Whisperwind Glade, just as the first rays of Solara touched the highest branches of the Elderwood. The ancient forest, usually a place of comforting shadows and familiar rustles, now seemed to hold a new, profound mystery. The trees loomed taller, their leaves a deeper green, their roots gnarled and ancient like sleeping giants. The air grew cooler, carrying the scent of damp earth and something else, something old, arcane and faintly electric. Elara walked for hours, following a faint, almost invisible path that seemed to call to her. The dreamstone in her hand pulsed more insistently, its light growing brighter, casting ethereal patterns on the forest floor. As the twin moons, Lumina and Penumbra, began their ascent, painting the sky with silver and shadow, Elara found herself at a clearing. In the center stood a colossal elderwood tree, far larger and older than any she had ever seen. Its trunk was so wide it would take 20 people holding hands to encircle it. Carved into its ancient bark, faintly glowing with an internal light, was the unmistakable shape of a sleeping fox, its tail curled around itself. As the sleeping fox constellation reached its zenith directly above the tree, the carved fox's eyes, previously closed, seemed to flicker open, revealing 2 deep, swirling pools of starlight. And then, slowly, silently, a section of the ancient bark began to recede, revealing an opening, a tunnel not of wood, but of swirling, luminous mist, like a cloud of captured dreams. The air around it hummed with an almost unbearable magic, a symphony of whispers and forgotten melodies. This was it. The entrance to the Whispering Labyrinth. Taking a deep breath, Elara clutched the dreamstone, which now glowed fiercely, guiding her. She stepped forward, leaving the familiar world of the Elderwood behind, and entered the shimmering, dream-woven depths of the Whispering Labyrinth. The mist swirled around her, momentarily obscuring everything, then parted to reveal a path unlike any she had ever seen, twisting and turning into an unknown magical realm. The mist swirled around her, momentarily obscuring everything, then parted to reveal a path unlike any she had ever seen, twisting and turning into an unknown magical realm. It wasn't a path of stone or earth, but one woven from strands of shimmering moonlight and the softest hues of dawn. Underfoot, it felt like walking on spun starlight, yielding slightly with each step, yet firm enough to hold her. Faint, forgotten melodies drifted on the air, barely audible, like the sigh of a summer breeze through ancient chimes. This was the true magic of the Whispering Labyrinth, not just a place of hidden passages, but a living tapestry of dreams and memories. The dreamstone in Elara's hand pulsed with a comforting rhythm, its light casting a gentle, warm glow that seemed to awaken the colors around her. Along the edges of the path, delicate, luminous flora bloomed, flowers like tiny constellations, their petals whispering silent stories as she passed. Trees with leaves of iridescent spun thought arched overhead, their branches reaching towards an unseen, starry sky that was forever twilight. "Hello?" Elara whispered, her voice feeling impossibly small in the vast, dreaming silence. The labyrinth didn't answer with words, but with a subtle shift in the air, a deeper hum in the forgotten melodies, as if acknowledging her presence. It felt less like a maze to be solved, and more like a gentle, living entity, inviting her deeper into its embrace. As she walked, the path began to subtly change, responding to her thoughts, her feelings, even the rhythm of her heart. When she thought of her mother, a section of the path ahead shimmered with the soft gold of her mother's smile. When a fleeting worry about finding the lullaby crossed her mind, the path ahead seemed to dim for a moment, only to brighten again as she refocused on her courage and the dreamstone's unwavering glow. She came to a wide, shimmering archway, not made of stone but of woven light that pulsed like a slow, sleeping heart. Beyond it, the air was thicker, swirling with faint, translucent images. These were the veil of forgotten faces, as the ancient tales called them, echoes of dreams, memories, and moments that had slipped from the minds of mortals, now drifting gently within the labyrinth. Elara saw a fleeting glimpse of a child's forgotten toy, a lover's lost promise, a hero's nameless deed, all suspended like motes of dust in a sunbeam. The dreamstone vibrated in her hand. A soft inner voice, not her own, but resonant with the labyrinth's gentle wisdom, seemed to guide her. Look not for what is lost, but for what resonates. Your path is not theirs. Elara understood. To get lost in the sorrow or joy of these forgotten moments would be to lose her own way. She focused on the pure, clear purpose of her quest, her mother's lullaby. She thought of its melody, the warmth of her mother's voice, the feeling of safety and love it brought. As she did, the dreamstone glowed brighter, and the swirling images of the veil parted, creating a clear, shimmering tunnel just for her. She stepped through, feeling a gentle breeze whisper past her ears, carrying faint fragments of laughter and forgotten secrets, but none that clung to her. She emerged on the other side, feeling lighter, more resolute. The path continued, leading her into what felt like a vast open chamber, though there were no visible walls or ceiling, only an endless expanse of twilight and shimmering light. This was the chamber of echoing melodies. Here, the air was alive with sound, not chaotic, but interwoven. Fragments of forgotten songs drifted like luminous dust motes, a snatch of a sailor's shanty, a whisper of a nursery rhyme from a faraway land, the joyous trill of a bird long extinct, the solemn chord of an ancient lament. Each sound was a tiny glowing orb, floating and coalescing, then drifting apart again. Elara's heart ached with the beauty and the melancholy of it all. How could she find one specific lullaby amidst such a symphony of forgotten sound? The dreamstone in her hand pulsed faster, warmer, drawing her attention to a faint, almost imperceptible thread of sound, a gentle hum that seemed to resonate with her very soul, deeper than all the other echoes. She followed the thread, her gaze searching for its source. It led her towards a cluster of particularly bright, almost crystalline musical notes that danced in the air. As she drew closer, she saw it, a tiny creature, no bigger than her thumb, made entirely of spun moonlight and iridescent sound. It had delicate, shimmering wings like a dragonfly's, and its body glowed with a soft internal light. Its antennae twitched, sensing her presence. This was a lullaby sprite, a rare and ancient inhabitant of the labyrinth, born from the purest, most cherished melodies. It was drawn to the resonance of her mother's lullaby, which still lived faintly within Elara's heart. The sprite hovered before her, its wings beating a silent rhythm, and then, in a voice like the tinkling of wind chimes made of starlight, it spoke, though its words seemed to form directly in her mind. "Seeker of lost song," the sprite chimed, "the labyrinth remembers all. But to hear what is truly yours, you must listen not with your ears, but with your heart. The lullaby is not lost, it is scattered, like dewdrops on a spider's silk, waiting to be gathered anew." The sprite then drifted closer, settling gently on the dreamstone. Its light merged with the stone's glow, and Elara felt a surge of understanding. The lullaby wasn't a single physical thing to be found. It was a resonance, a collection of emotions, memories, and sounds that had to be pieced back together. The sprite, with its intimate connection to pure melody, could help her. With the sprite perched on the dreamstone, its combined light creating a soft beacon, Elara began to move through the chamber of echoing melodies. The sprite would occasionally flutter its wings, directing her towards specific clusters of sound. Sometimes, it would be a particularly strong resonance of love that her mother's lullaby carried. Other times, it was a fragment of the melody itself, distorted or faint, but undeniably familiar. Elara learned to listen with her heart, as the sprite had advised. She closed her eyes and focused on the feeling the lullaby invoked, the warmth, the safety, the deep, abiding love. As she did, the overwhelming cacophony of other sounds began to recede, and the faint, familiar notes of her mother's lullaby became clearer, like individual stars emerging from the twilight. One by one, she began to gently gather these scattered fragments. They weren't physical objects, but rather shimmering motes of sound and feeling that, when recognized, seemed to coalesce around the dreamstone, becoming brighter and stronger. It was like collecting drops of morning dew, each one holding a tiny reflection of the sun, and bringing them together to form a clearer, larger pool. With each fragment she collected, a line or a phrase of the lullaby would resonate in her mind, clearer than before. "Sleep, my star child, safe and sound." A faint echo drifted. "Dreams await in fields unbound." Another fragment, clearer still. The sprite chirped with delight, guiding her further. Their path led them out of the chamber of echoing melodies and into a new, breathtaking section of the labyrinth, the whispering gardens of lost dreams. Here, the air was sweet with the scent of starlight and forgotten hope. This garden was a vibrant, fantastical landscape where dreams that were never fully dreamed, or dreams that had been forgotten upon waking, took root and bloomed. Flowers of shimmering light pulsed with gentle hues, their petals unfurling like silent thoughts. Trees with leaves of spun thought rustled softly, their branches heavy with fruit that tasted of fleeting joy and quiet contemplation. Some dream blossoms glowed with innocent happiness, their light dancing with the energy of a child's wish. Others shimmered with a soft, melancholic blue, holding the echoes of quiet longing. There were even thorny bushes that crackled with forgotten fears, their shadows twisting and turning like restless thoughts. The dreamstone's light, still augmented by the lullaby sprite, seemed to gently soothe these thorny dreams as Elara passed, softening their edges. The sprite tugged at Elara's awareness, directing her towards a particular cluster of blooms. "The lullaby needs a hopeful path," its voice chimed in her mind. "It is nurtured by the purest dreams." Elara realized that the lullaby, steeped in love and comfort, could not thrive amidst sorrow or fear. She had to navigate this emotional landscape with care, seeking out the dreams that resonated with the lullaby's essence. She came upon a patch of ethereal flowers called star-petal blooms. Their petals were like spun constellations, and they pulsed with a gentle, steady light, embodying the quiet, hopeful dreams of protection and future joy. These, the sprite indicated, were what she needed. To gather their essence, Elara didn't pluck them. Instead, she knelt and gently placed the dream stone near their glowing hearts. As she did, the star-petal blooms seemed to sigh, releasing their luminous essence into the dreamstone. It wasn't just light, it was a feeling of gentle hope, a quiet promise, a comforting presence. With each infusion, the fragments of the lullaby she had already collected grew stronger, their melody clearer, as if being woven into a protective embrace. She also encountered other dream forms. A tiny iridescent moth, its wings patterned with forgotten constellations, fluttered around a particularly sad blue blossom, trying to comfort it. Elara gently extended her hand, and the moth landed on her finger. She focused her intent, sending a wave of gentle understanding towards the sad dream blossom. It wasn't her dream, but she offered it solace, a moment of quiet empathy. The blue blossom shimmered, a single tear of starlight falling from its petals, but its overall light seemed to brighten, accepting the unexpected comfort. The moth, in turn, fluttered around Elara's head, its tiny wings creating a soft, almost imperceptible hum that wove itself into the developing melody of the lullaby. As she moved deeper into the whispering gardens, guided by the sprite and the dreamstone, Elara found herself at the edge of a shimmering pool. Its surface was not water, but a liquid starlight, reflecting not her own image, but fleeting snippets of dreams that had been fulfilled, a child's joy at seeing the first snowflake, a parent's pride in a small accomplishment, the quiet contentment of a shared smile. This was the wellspring of fulfilled wishes, a place of quiet affirmation. The sprite chirped excitedly, drawing her attention to the center of the pool. There, suspended just above the surface of the starlight, was a single radiant bubble, shimmering with all the colors of a rainbow. Within it, Elara could almost hear a complete verse of her mother's lullaby, clearer and more resonant than any she had found so far. "Fear not the shadows, nor the night." The words seemed to sing from within the bubble, soft and powerful. "For love's own glow will make them bright." This was a significant piece, a core of the lullaby's message. But how to retrieve it? The bubble pulsed gently, almost invitingly, yet it seemed protected by the sheer joy and contentment of the fulfilled wishes around it. Elara remembered the sprite's earlier advice. Listen not with your ears, but with your heart. She also recalled the feeling of gently comforting the sad dream blossom. The lullaby was not about taking, but about giving, about nurturing. Taking a deep breath, she extended the dreamstone towards the shimmering bubble. Instead of trying to grasp it, She focused all her love, all her yearning for the lullaby, all her understanding of her mother's comforting presence into the stone. She poured her heart into it, offering her own pure intent, her unwavering connection to her mother. As if in response, the radiant bubble began to drift slowly towards the dreamstone. It didn't pop or burst. Instead, it gently dissolved into a shower of iridescent light, flowing directly into the dreamstone. The stone glowed with an incredible warmth, and the verse she had heard within the bubble now resonated clearly in her mind, complete and vibrant. It felt as if a missing piece of her own heart had been returned. The lullaby sprite danced with joy, fluttering around Elara's head. The dreamstone, now infused with this powerful fragment of the lullaby, pulsed with a strong, steady rhythm, guiding her onwards. Their journey continued, leading them to a place unlike any other in the labyrinth. This was the Spindle of Silent Stories. It was a vast, circular chamber, its walls shimmering with an ethereal glow, like the inside of a giant mother-of-pearl shell. In the very center stood an immense, luminous spindle, around which countless threads of pure light were woven and unwoven, stretching out into the cosmic expanse of the labyrinth. These were the narratives that were never told, the stories that were interrupted, the tales that waited for a voice to bring them to life. Elara saw threads of heroic quests left unfinished, threads of quiet lives unexplored, threads of ancient legends that had faded from memory. Each thread shimmered with its own potential, its own silent whisper of what could have been. Her mother's lullaby, she realized, was also a story of love, comfort, and protection, woven into the fabric of her earliest memories. The lullaby sprite darted towards the spindle, its light merging with the myriad threads, trying to find the one that resonated most strongly with the lullaby. "Your lullaby is a thread of gold," the sprite chimed, "woven into the tapestry of your own heart. It is here, but fragmented, waiting to be reunited." Elara walked around the base of the colossal spindle, her gaze searching, her heart listening. The dreamstone pulsed, drawing her towards a section where the threads seemed particularly faint, almost translucent. Here, among the silent stories, she began to discern faint, shimmering patterns, individual words, short phrases, woven into the luminous threads. "Sleep, my love, till morning's light. Angels watch throughout the night." These were fragments of the lullaby's verses, scattered and intertwined with other, silent narratives. It was like trying to find a single strand of gold amidst 1,000 threads of silver and moonlight. Suddenly, a voice, deep and resonant, yet gentle as a whispered secret, echoed through the chamber. It came from a figure sitting patiently at the base of the spindle, almost imperceptible until it chose to reveal itself. It was the Weaver of Tales, an ancient, benevolent guardian of the labyrinth, a creature whose form seemed to shift and flow like spun starlight, with eyes like distant galaxies. Its hands, though ethereal, seemed capable of weaving entire worlds. "Zika of the Golden Thread," the Weaver of Tales rumbled, its voice harmonizing with the hum of the spindle. "Our story is not merely found, but understood. To reweave your lullaby, you must speak its truth, not just search for its pieces." Elara felt a wave of understanding. The lullaby wasn't just a collection of words, it was the truthy of her mother's love. She had to embody that truth, not just intellectually, but with her whole being. She looked at the Weaver of Tales, then at the vast spindle. She clutched the dreamstone, which glowed steadily, holding the essence of the starpetal blooms and the powerful verse from the wellspring. She closed her eyes and began to hum the fragments of the lullaby she had already collected, letting the melody flow from her heart. "Sleep, my star child, safe and sound," she hummed softly, and a faint golden thread on the spindle pulsed in response. "Dreams await in fields unbound," another thread brightened, drawing closer. "Fear not the shadows, nor the night." The powerful verse from the wellspring flowed from her, and a radiant golden thread, vibrant and strong, detached itself from the spindle, drifting gently towards her. "For love's own glow will make them bright." As she hummed, focusing on the feeling of love and protection that the lullaby represented, the faint golden threads on the spindle began to stir. They pulsed, they brightened, they gently disentangled themselves from the other silent stories. One by one they began to weave themselves together, drawn by the power of Elara's focused intent and the resonating energy of the dreamstone. The lullaby sprite darted back and forth, its tiny form glowing, helping to guide the ethereal threads. The weaver of tales watched with ancient, knowing eyes, a subtle smile playing on its luminous features. Slowly, magically, the scattered fragments of her mother's lullaby began to coalesce. They weren't just words anymore, but shimmering lines of light, spinning together, forming verses, then stanzas. The melody became richer, fuller, resonating with a warmth that filled the entire chamber. Finally, a beautiful, radiant strand of golden light, woven with all the verses she had gathered, pulsed into existence before her. It wasn't the complete lullaby yet, but it was a substantial living portion of it, humming with undeniable magic and the pure essence of her mother's love. It felt warm, like a gentle hug. The golden strand, now vibrant and strong, gently coiled itself around the dreamstone, merging its light and melody with the stone's own glow. The dreamstone now pulsed with a new, powerful energy, its light radiating a clear, unmistakable lullaby tune. The weaver of tales nodded slowly. "You have found its heart, little seeker. But a lullaby, like all true stories, has a beginning and an ending. The heart you hold will guide you to where its final whispers lie." As the weaver spoke, the shimmering walls of the spindle of silent stories began to subtly shift. A new path opened, not of shifting light, but of pure, unbroken starlight, leading deeper into the labyrinth. This path shimmered with her own memories of her mother, clearer and more vibrant than any she had encountered before. It was as if the labyrinth itself was responding to her growing connection to the lullaby, guiding her with her own truth. Elara felt a renewed surge of hope and determination. She clutched the dreamstone, now a beacon of golden melody. The lullaby sprite, its work here done, gave a final joyful chime and gently dissolved back into the shimmering air, its essence absorbed into the lullaby's melody. She stepped onto the path of starlight, leaving the spindle of silent stories behind. The path was warm beneath her feet, and with every step, the lullaby's melody, now clear and strong within the dreamstone, pulsed with a gentle rhythm, guiding her towards the very core of the whispering labyrinth, towards the final whispers of her mother's lost song. The true heart of the lullaby, she knew, awaited her. The true heart of the lullaby, she knew, awaited her. The path of starlight, woven from the same celestial dust that painted the deepest dreams, stretched before Elara like a shimmering, living river. It flowed not just forward, but seemed to gently undulate, carrying her spirit along with her steps. Above the sky of the labyrinth was a tapestry of shifting twilight hues, dotted with constellations that pulsed with their own soft internal light, not stars of distant suns, but perhaps the condensed memories of forgotten wishes, each one a tiny, silent hum. As she walked, the gentle rhythm of the dreamstone against her chest was a constant comfort, a steady heartbeat mirroring her own. The lullaby within it, now a full, clear melody, began to harmonize with the faint, ethereal whispers that drifted on the air, the very essence of the whispering labyrinth itself. These whispers were not voices, but suggestions, fleeting impressions of stories half told, emotions barely felt, and dreams just beyond recall. They danced around her, sometimes tickling her ears with a hint of laughter, sometimes brushing her cheek with a sigh of longing. The starlight path soon led her away from the vast open expanse where the spindle of silent stories had stood. The air grew thicker, sweeter, carrying the scent of moon blossoms and sleep moss, plants she knew only from the most ancient dream tales. Towering, luminous foliage, like giant ferns spun from spun light, began to arch overhead, forming a living tunnel of phosphorescent greens and blues. Their fronds, large as sails, gently swayed, brushing against each other with a soft rustling sound that seemed to hum in unison with the lullaby. This was the verdant vale, a place where dreams took root and grew, tended by the gentle currents of the labyrinth. Deeper she went, the starlight path becoming less distinct, blending into the luminous moss that covered the ground. Here the whispers grew more pronounced, coalescing into faint, shimmering forms that flitted between the glowing fronds. They were not solid, but rather like reflections in water, glimpses of creatures made of pure dream stuff. A tiny iridescent dragon with butterfly wings, a graceful doe with antlers of spun moonlight, a child with eyes like polished stars. They moved with an airy grace, sometimes pausing to gaze at Elara with an ancient curiosity, before dissolving back into the shimmering air. One such glimmering form, larger and more defined than the others, hovered directly in her path. It was a creature reminiscent of an owl, but its feathers were woven from mist and starlight, and its eyes glowed with an inner amber light. It tilted its head, its gaze deep and knowing, and a single clear note, like a chime struck from crystal, resonated directly in Elara's mind. Seeker of echoes. The thought rippled through her, soft as a feather touch. The core sings loudest to those who listen with their hearts, not just their ears. Elara stopped, her hand instinctively going to the dreamstone. "I am Elara," she whispered, her voice feeling strangely solid in this ephemeral place. "I seek the heart of my mother's lullaby." The dream owl blinked slowly. A song spun from love, lost to the currents of forgetting. Many such melodies drift here. They need tending. It gestured with a wing that left a trail of shimmering motes. This path. It is not merely a path. It is a river of fading dreams. Some drown in silence. Others yearn to be heard again. Elara looked around. The luminous plants, she now noticed, seemed to droop in places, their light dimming, their fronds curling inward. And among the playful, shimmering dream forms, she saw others that were faint, almost translucent, barely holding their shape, like old photographs fading in the sun. These were the dreams that were losing their hold, perhaps forgotten by their dreamers, or simply too fragile to withstand the labyrinth's currents. "The lullaby you carry," the dream owl continued, its voice a gentle hum. "It is a balm, a spark. Can you share its warmth?" A sudden understanding bloomed in Elara's heart. Her mother's lullaby wasn't just a personal quest. It was a living, breathing melody with the power to nurture. She remembered how it had soothed the spindle, how it pulsed with vitality. Hesitantly, she took the dreamstone from her neck, holding it out. The melody, now vibrant and strong, emanated from it, a soft golden light spreading outward. As the lullaby's notes filled the air, something remarkable happened. The drooping fronds of the moon blossoms began to slowly lift, their luminescence brightening, pulsing with renewed vigor. The faint fading dream forms, those barely there whispers, seemed to draw closer, their outlines becoming a little clearer, their colors a little richer. A tiny, almost imperceptible shimmer passed through the dream owl itself, and its amber eyes seemed to glow with a deeper light. Elara felt a gentle pull, a yearning from the fading dreams. She began to hum along with the dreamstone, letting her own voice blend with its melody. She imagined the lullaby flowing like warm, liquid starlight, reaching out to touch each wilting plant, each dimming dream form. As she sang, she felt a profound connection, as if she were breathing life back into forgotten beauty. The verdant veil brightened perceptibly, becoming a more vibrant, hopeful place. The dream owl dipped its head slightly. "You understand," it hummed. "The labyrinth's core is a nexus, where all dreams are born and return. But even the strongest light needs tending, lest shadows creep in." It then turned, its form beginning to shimmer, and with a final silent chime, it dissolved into the glowing air, leaving behind only the renewed vibrancy of the verdant veil and a deeper sense of purpose in Elara's heart. The starlight path, now clearly visible again, and pulsing with a gentle, inviting glow, led her onward. The air grew warmer, infused with a new energy, and the whispers around her were no longer tinged with fading sorrow, but with soft, nascent hopes. The path began to ascend, winding its way up through what felt like the roots of the world. These were not earthen roots, but massive, gnarled structures made of solidified starlight and ancient dream stuff, their surfaces smooth and cool beneath her touch. They crisscrossed and intertwined, forming natural bridges and archways, each junction glowing with intricate swirling patterns that seemed to shift and dance with the lullaby's rhythm. She passed through a cavern where the walls were not stone, but solidified echoes, reflecting her own image back at her, not as she was, but as she had been in various stages of her life. A tiny child gazing up at the stars, a curious girl poring over ancient texts, a wistful young woman dreaming of adventure. Each reflection shimmered, a fleeting glimpse of a past self, reminding her of the journey that had led her here. The lullaby within the dreamstone seemed to gently embrace these echoes, acknowledging them, but also guiding her forward, reminding her that the future beckoned. As she ascended higher, the whispers changed again. They became more distinct, almost like fragments of conversations, but spoken in a language older than words, a language of pure feeling and intention. She heard the faint joy of a child's first flight in a dream, the quiet comfort of a loved one's presence, the fierce determination of a dreamer striving for a goal. These were the living dreams, the vibrant currents that fed the labyrinth. The path eventually opened into a vast circular chamber, its ceiling so high it was lost in a swirling nebula of soft light. This chamber was unlike anything Elara had seen before. Instead of walls, there were colossal, shimmering curtains of iridescent mist, constantly shifting, revealing fleeting glimpses of other dream worlds beyond. A city built on the back of a sleeping giant, an ocean of liquid starlight where constellations swam like fish, a forest of singing crystals. This was the antechamber of endless visions, a place where the labyrinth connected to all other dreamscapes. In the center of this chamber, suspended without visible support, floated a colossal, crystalline orb. It pulsed with an internal light that mirrored the ever-shifting hues of the mist curtains, casting soft rainbows across the chamber. Around it, like tiny, dedicated guardians, hovered a multitude of small, luminous beings. They resembled miniature, winged spheres of light, each trailing a delicate, shimmering tail. These were the Sylvans of Sentience, caretakers of the antechamber, whose sole purpose was to observe and maintain the delicate balance of the dream currents. As Elara stepped fully into the chamber, the Sylvans, previously absorbed in their silent ballet around the orb, paused. Their collective light dimmed slightly, and then, as one, they turned their mirror eyes towards her. There was no aggression, only a profound, silent inquiry. The lullaby in the dreamstone, perhaps sensing the significance of this place, pulsed with a renewed intensity, its melody filling the vast chamber. The Sylvans, in response, began to emit soft, resonant hums, their individual lights brightening and dimming in a complex, harmonious pattern. It was as if they were conversing with the lullaby, acknowledging its presence and its power. One Sylvan, slightly larger and brighter than the others, detached itself from the group and drifted towards Elara. It hovered before her, its light shimmering in intricate patterns, like a visual language. "Welcome, weaver of melodies," a collective thought, gentle and resonating, formed in Elara's mind, emanating from the Sylvan. "You carry a song that echoes the oldest truths, a song that whispers of the mother of dreams." Elara's heart quickened. "My mother, you know of her? You know her song?" The Sylvan pulsed. "We know of the song spinner, whose melodies once wove the very fabric of this labyrinth. Her lullaby. It is a thread, broken but not lost. It seeks to mend the tears in the tapestry of slumber." It then pointed a delicate, shimmering tail towards the colossal, crystalline orb. "That is the heart seed. It collects the essence of all dreams, nourishing the labyrinth. But it is incomplete. A vital resonance is missing, a note of pure, untainted love." Elara looked at the orb, its light beautiful but somehow restrained, as if holding back its full potential. "Is that the true heart of my mother's lullaby?" "Not the heart itself," the Sylvan replied, its light rippling with emphasis, "but the vessel that yearns for it. The heart seed draws all fragments of song and story to its core. Many echoes of your mother's melody reside within it, scattered like stardust. But the true, unifying chord that lies deeper still, within the silent nexus beyond this chamber." A profound sense of awe and apprehension washed over Elara. She was so close, yet the task felt immense. How do I reach the silent nexus, and how do I find the unifying chord? The Sylvans began to drift back to the heart seed, circling it once more, their hums growing louder, more urgent. The mist curtains around the chamber began to swirl faster, revealing more vivid, sometimes unsettling, glimpses of dream worlds in distress, dreams tangled in nightmares, dreams fading into nothingness. "The path to the silent nexus is veiled," the lead Sylvan communicated, its light flickering rapidly. "It reveals itself only to those who can harmonize the fragmented echoes within the heart seed. The labyrinth grows restless. The song of the mother of dreams is needed more than ever. The balance falters." Elara understood. The lullaby wasn't just a key to her personal past, it was a vital force for the entire labyrinth, perhaps even the broader dream world. The fading dreams in the verdant vale, the restless currents here, it all spoke of a growing imbalance. "How do I harmonize them?" she asked, clutching the dreamstone tightly. The Sylvan pointed its shimmering tail towards the heart seed again. "Listen, Weaver. Listen with your heart. The echoes within yearn for connection. Your lullaby is the thread. Weave them together. Let your mother's love guide your hands and your voice." With that, the lead sylvan rejoined its brethren, and their collective hum intensified, becoming a soft, guiding thrum, urging Elara forward. The heart seed pulsed, its light drawing her in. Taking a deep breath, Elara approached the colossal crystalline orb. It was warm to the touch, humming with a myriad of faint internal melodies. She could feel the individual fragments of her mother's song, like tiny, sparkling motes of sound, swirling within its depths, each one a memory, a sentiment, a forgotten note. They were beautiful, but disjointed, unable to form a coherent whole. She placed the dreamstone against the smooth, crystalline surface of the heartseed. The lullaby within it, now a powerful resonant force, began to flow out, not just into the air, but directly into the orb. The golden light of the dreamstone mingled with the swirling colors of the heartseed, creating a breathtaking display of interwoven magic. As the lullaby poured forth, Elara closed her eyes and focused. She let her mind become an open space, receptive to the myriad echoes within the heartseed. She felt them, distinct yet yearning to connect, a note of profound comfort, a ripple of gentle joy, a whisper of fierce protection, a sustained chord of unconditional love. These were the essence of her mother, distilled into pure sound. She began to hum, letting her voice join the dreamstone's melody, guiding the flow. She imagined herself as a weaver, taking each thread of sound, each memory, and gently nudging it towards its rightful place. It was like solving a puzzle, not with logic, but with intuition and love. She focused on the feeling behind each note, understanding how they were meant to intertwine. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the fragmented melodies within the heartseed began to draw closer to one another. The swirling motes of sound began to coalesce, forming delicate, luminous patterns. The powerful, unifying theme of the lullaby, the part she had heard so clearly in the dreamstone, acted as a magnetic core, drawing the disparate fragments into its orbit. A deep, resonant vibration emanated from the heartseed, a sound that Elara felt in her very bones. The sylvans, circling above, pulsed with an excited, synchronized rhythm. The mist curtains in the antechamber stilled, their shifting images holding steady on scenes of serene, undisturbed slumber. Finally, with a soft, internal guide thrum, the last fragment clicked into place. The heartseed flared with an incandescent light, a pure golden glow that filled the entire chamber, driving back all shadows. From its depths, no longer a collection of echoes, but a unified, majestic sound, rose a single, profound chord. It was her mother's voice, clear and strong, woven into the very fabric of the labyrinth's heart. It spoke of infinite comfort, boundless love, and the promise of dreams made real. It was the unifying chord, the true resonance that had been missing. The sylvans cheered, their tiny lights dancing in celebration. The heartseed, now fully resonant, pulsed with a steady, vibrant energy, its light extending far beyond the antechamber, illuminating previously shadowed corners of the labyrinth. As the great chord faded into a sustained, gentle hum, a new path materialized, directly before Elara. It was not a path of starlight, nor of luminous moss, but a shimmering walkway made of pure, solidified sound. Each step she would take upon it would resonate with the unifying chord, guiding her deeper. The path led directly towards what had previously been an impenetrable wall of swirling mist. But now, as Elara watched, the mist parted like a silken curtain, revealing a narrow, spiraling tunnel of deep, velvety darkness, illuminated only by the faint, pulsing glow of the heartseed behind her, and the gentle, guiding resonance of the path beneath her feet. This was the entrance to the silent nexus. The lead sylvan drifted close again, its light, soft and warm. "You have found the unified song, Weaver. It will guide you through the silent nexus, where the mother of dreams spun her most potent magic. Be ready, for there you will find not just echoes, but the very essence of her dreamcraft." Elara felt a thrill of anticipation, mingled with a touch of sacred awe. She had come so far, and the core, the true heart of her mother's legacy, was now within reach. Clutching the dreamstone, which now felt even more alive, singing with the harmonious chord she had just helped to restore, she stepped onto the path of solidified sound, her gaze fixed on the spiraling darkness of the silent nexus, ready to unravel the deepest secrets of her mother's lost song. Elara felt a thrill of anticipation, mingled with a touch of sacred awe. She had come so far, and the core, the true heart of her mother's legacy, was now within reach. Clutching the dreamstone, which now felt even more alive, singing with the harmonious chord she had just helped to restore, she stepped onto the path of solidified sound, her gaze fixed on the spiraling darkness of the silent nexus, ready to unravel the deepest secrets of her mother's lost song. The path beneath her feet, shimmering with the soft, restored light, led not into a physical space, but into an absence. The spiraling darkness of the silent nexus wasn't just a lack of light. It was a profound lack of sounding. As Elara stepped fully into its maw, the gentle hum of the dreamstone was muted, her own breathing seemed to vanish, and the very thrum of her heart felt muffled within her chest. It was like plunging into the deepest ocean trench, but instead of crushing pressure, there was an expansive, suffocating void of auditory input. This was the true shroud of silence her father had spoken of, not merely a quiet space, but a consuming emptiness. It pressed in on her, trying to absorb her light, to dampen the song within her heart. The dreamstone, however, pulsed with a defiant inner glow, projecting the harmonious chord she had just restored, a gentle, sustained note of pure, resonant energy. This sound, though unheard, was felt deeply, vibrating through her bones, a constant reassurance against the encroaching void. As she moved deeper, guided by an invisible current, Elara began to perceive faint, ghostly echoes. These weren't sounds, but rather the absence where sounds should have been, like craters left by shattered melodies. She saw wisps of what looked like torn dream fabric, shimmering illusions of forgotten laughter, fragmented images of what might have been vibrant dreamscapes. This was the graveyard of the lost song, a place where dreams, once bright and full of life, had been drawn in and silenced. The silence here wasn't passive. It was a heavy, oppressive force, almost sentient in its desire to consume. It tried to plant seeds of doubt in her mind, to suggest that her quest was futile, that the silence was too vast, too absolute. She felt a chill creep into her spirit, a longing to retreat to the familiar sounds and warmth of her own dream home. But then, the dreamstone flared, and the harmonious chord resonated with greater strength, pushing back against the encroaching despair. "No," she whispered, her voice unheard even by herself. "I won't let it win." She focused on the chord, letting it become a beacon, a shield. As she projected its energy, the fragmented dream fabric around her began to coalesce slightly, revealing fleeting visions. She saw glimpses of her mother, Lyra, younger, vibrant, her hands weaving intricate patterns of light and sound. Lyra was singing, a melody of breathtaking complexity and beauty, one Elara had never heard before, yet recognized instantly as the lost song. The visions grew clearer, pulled forth by the dreamstone's resonance. Elara realized she wasn't just seeing echoes, she was experiencing her mother's memories, embedded within the nexus itself. It was as if the dreamstone, now fully attuned, was unlocking a living archive. She saw her mother, Lyra, standing before a shimmering loom of starlight, her fingers dancing. Lyra wasn't just restoring old songs, she was creating something entirely new. She was weaving a grand tapestry of dreamcraft, a protective shield of pure imagination and hope, designed to ward off a growing blight. This blight wasn't a monster or a dark wizard. It was an insidious, creeping despair, a true silence that threatened to drain all magic, all wonder from the dream realms, leaving behind only a desolate, mundane waking world. Lyra had poured her very essence into this creation, a song so potent, so full of life and joy, that it could act as a barrier against the encroaching void. Elara watched, heartbroken, as the memories shifted. Lyra was nearing completion, the song almost fully formed, when the silence itself, a primordial entity born of the absence of all things, sensed her creation. It didn't attack with fire or thunder. It attacked with an insidious creeping drain, a gentle but relentless pull that sought to unravel Lyra's work, thread by precious thread. Elara saw her mother fighting back, her voice ringing out, defiant even as the silent nexus, born of the invading void, began to form around her. Lyra realized she couldn't defeat the silence directly, not yet. But she could contain it. She made a terrible, beautiful sacrifice. Instead of letting her song be consumed, she chose to use its almost complete power to seal the nascent silent nexus, trapping the full, unbridled power of the silence within it. But in doing so, she also trapped her own songjin, the very binding spell she had woven, inside this void. She left the dreamstone behind, a fragment of her power, a key for someone else to finish what she started. The vision ended, leaving Elara reeling. Her mother hadn't died. She had become part of the very containment, a guardian spirit forever interwoven with the Nexus, her essence sustaining the fragile seal. The lost song wasn't just a melody. It was the ultimate lullaby, a binding spell designed to soothe and contain the primal silence. And if the Nexus fully unraveled, if Lyra's sacrifice proved insufficient, the silence would escape and consume all dreams, all magic, all hope. The stakes were higher than Elara could have ever imagined. This wasn't just about restoring a family legacy. It was about saving the entire dreaming world. She found herself in a vast echoing chamber at the heart of the Nexus, though chamber felt too solid a word for a space defined by absence. Here, the silence was thickest, a palpable pressure that felt like it was trying to erase her, atom by atom. It manifested not as a creature with form, but as an overwhelming oppressive presence, a void that sought to snuff out her consciousness, her very being. It was the antithesis of creation, of sound, of dreams. It tried to inject panic into her heart, to make her forget the melodies, the harmonies, the very reason she was there. But Elara now understood. She understood her mother's strength, her love, her sacrifice. She clutched the dreamstone, its light now a steady beacon in the oppressive gloom. "You won't have it," she projected, her will burning bright. "Not while I stand here." She closed her eyes, drawing a deep breath that felt like pulling air from a vacuum. She recalled every lesson, every harmony, every dream stitch she had ever learned. She remembered her father's comforting lullabies, the vibrant colors of her own dream home, the joy of discovery on her journey. She channeled all of it, every spark of light and hope, into her very core. Then, she began to sing. Her voice at first was a whisper, a tentative thread against the vastness of the silence. But it wasn't just her voice. It was the harmonious chord she had restored, amplified by the dreamstone, resonating through the chamber. It was the first note of the lost song, the binding lullaby. The silence recoiled, a ripple of unease disturbing its oppressive stillness. It fought back, not with a roar, but with a deeper, more insidious pressure, trying to shatter her song, to inject doubt into her mind. Visions flashed before her eyes, the dream realms crumbling into grey dust, her father's face etched with sorrow, her own light dimming until nothing remained. But Elara held fast. She remembered her mother's steadfast gaze, her unwavering love. She infused her song with that love, with the comforting warmth of her home, the resilience of hope. Her voice grew stronger, weaving in the melodies Lyra had left behind, filling in the gaps with her own unique dreamcraft, guided by intuition and the dreamstone's unwavering pulse. The song was not just a sequence of notes, it was a living tapestry of dreams, a vibrant counterpoint to the void. Each phrase she sang was like a thread of pure light, stitching itself into the fabric of the Nexus. The dreamstone glowed brighter, casting shimmering hues onto the swirling darkness, illuminating patterns of intricate design that had been hidden by the silence. As Elara sang, the silence began to recede, slowly at first, then with greater urgency. The oppressive weight lessened. Where before there was only absence, now there were nascent sparks of light, faint, forgotten melodies stirring to life. The patterns on the walls began to take on color, morphing from shapeless darkness into swirling nebulae of stardust and shimmering gossamer. She sang of courage, of dreams that refused to fade, of the power of imagination. She sang of her mother's sacrifice, transforming it not into sorrow, but into a testament of enduring love. She poured her entire being into the song, her voice soaring, no longer unheard, but ringing through the transforming Nexus, strong and clear. The final notes of the song were not an ending, but a new beginning. They resonated, not as a command, but as a gentle embrace, a soothing lullaby that didn't destroy the silence, but harmonized with it. The vast empty chamber was gone. In its place was a pulsating core of pure, vibrant dream energy. It was the heart of dreams, a central generator of positive, nurturing dream essence, finally unbound. The silence was not vanquished, it was transformed. It became the necessary counterpoint to sound, a deep, peaceful quiet that allowed dreams to form, rather than consuming them. It was no longer an antagonist, but a fundamental balanced force, the canvas upon which all dreams could be painted. Elara felt her mother's presence then, not as a memory or a vision, but as a warmth that wrapped around her, a gentle, loving embrace. Lyra's essence, her dreamcraft, was now fully interwoven with the heart of dreams, a part of its eternal pulse. She was finally at peace, her sacrifice complete, her song singing on for all time. The dreamstone in Elara's hand settled, no longer needing to pulse with urgency, but radiating a soft, steady glow. It was now the key to maintaining this delicate balance, a symbol of her new responsibility. With a final deep breath, Elara turned. The path of solidified sound now glowed with a gentle, inviting light, leading her back out of the nexus, which no longer spiraled into darkness, but into a shimmering, vibrant core of light and soft, harmonious hums. As she emerged, the dream realms outside were visibly revitalized. Colors were brighter, sounds clearer, and the air thrummed with a renewed sense of wonder. The shroud of silence had lifted, replaced by a symphony of gentle whispers, rustling dream leaves, and the distant, joyful calls of slumbering creatures. Dreams once dulled now sparkled with renewed life, each one a tiny universe of possibility. Elara understood her new role. She was not just the restorer of a lost song, she was the new dream weaver, the guardian of the heart of dreams, the protector of the balance between sound and silence, creation and quietude. Her journey had not ended with the song, but had given her a new beginning. She returned to her dream home, the dreamstone nestled in her pocket, its gentle warmth a constant reminder of her mother's legacy and her own strength. Her father, stirring from a deep, peaceful sleep, looked at her with new eyes, a deep understanding passing between them without a single word. He sensed the change in her, the profound connection she had forged with the very fabric of dreams. From that night on, Elara practiced her dreamcraft, not just for herself, but for all the dreamers. She wove new patterns of light and sound, mended fractured dreamscapes, and tended to the heart of dreams, ensuring its endless balanced pulse. She sometimes revisited its shimmering core, feeling her mother's enduring love in every vibrant hum. The world was safe, vibrant, full of magic, cradled by the eternal lullaby she had helped restore. The lullabies her father sang to her at night now carried a new depth, echoing the harmonious song that pulsed at the heart of all dreams. And as Elara drifted into her own slumber, she knew that her mother's legacy lived on, not just in her, but in every shimmering dream, every spark of imagination, and in the quiet, comforting hum that now filled the world, promising wonder and magic to all who dared to dream.